Hello and welcome to episode 97 of the MisanthroPod. I'm Snipe, and as always, I'm joined by Wib. Say hello.
Hello.
And I am also joined by Drumblebum. Say hello.
Hello.
How are you lovely gents doing today?
I'm doing okay. We just got home after spending like an hour on the bus. So I'm deeply unhappy about that.
Yeah, you hate the bus.
I mean, not the concept of the bus. The concept of the bus is fantastic. It's just it was full of fuckers, and I was not happy about having to sit next to a fucker that wasn't you.
I have a no.
But apart from that, I am very good.
So apart from the bus critique,
apart from the scathing critique of the Nottingham to Derby bus route, if you happen to be stupid enough to take it during rush hour when you don't have to, I'm good. I'm good. How are you, Matt?
I'm good. I spent the day, weirdly enough, arguing with bus companies and arguing with train companies, which I didn't realise was podcast material, but apparently here we are.
Yes, apparently what we're doing now. Why were you arguing with bus companies?
He has no reason. He's just angry about them.
Oh
no, it was when I was leaving your house last, and I was getting the last bus out of Derby.
Oh, is this when you use the contactless stuff and it charges you like double?
No,
because fucking they do that to me. It was like, this is a £2 journey and it charged me £6 fucking quid.
Oh yeah, that's not fun. No, it wasn't that. No, it was just the bus that was meant to be there that said it on the app and on all of the departure boards in the station and on the departure board on the bay just didn't turn up. So then I told them this because then I had to get a taxi home. So I told them this and said, well, I mean, to be honest, I quite like the taxi money back because your bus just didn't turn up. And they emailed back and said, well, the last bus isn't at 11:35, it's actually at 11:30, so no. And I was like, well, I was there before that, and A, that means your app was wrong, and that's what I was, and the departure boards and everything's wrong, so that's partially not my fault. And B, I was there at that time, and that wasn't there either, so, like, regardless of which way you're looking at this, you're wrong. So, like, I don't know what you want to do about this, but you're in the wrong, not me here.
That sounds like a great fun use of your day.
Yep. And similar issues with train companies, to be honest. The main issue with that one is that all the train companies are different companies, which is stupid on every possible level. So.
Yes.
But anyway, apart from that, I'm all good. I'm all good. Snipe, how are you?
Well, I'm kind of feeling left out because I don't have any bus complaints that I haven't already aired on social media.
I mean, make one up. Like a wild one that can top both of ours?
I went to catch the bus and I ate it by accident.
Why is that a complaint?
It wasn't very tasty.
Okay.
I was hungry half an hour later. It's pretty terrible. And I was half an hour late for box exercise and I got stitched because I'd just eaten.
Yeah, okay, fair.
Terrible.
None of these things are your fault.
No, they aren't. It's like I was yawning and it drove into my mouth, and when I notice something in my mouth, I chew it 100 times to aid in digestion, and I eat it. I can't go to the bus station without wearing the "Please keep buses away from me. If I am yawning, I will eat them because anything that goes in my mouth, I will eat." T-shirt.
Okay, before anyone starts thinking too much about the implications of what you just said, apart from eating buses, how are you?
I'm fine.
Okay, good.
So, some general news. Some people might have noticed that there's an exclusive 40k miniature, like for store opening celebration kind of thingies.
Yeah.
Little lady called Sergeant Ripper Jackson.
Which is a good name.
Especially for a Catachan jungle fighter.
Yeah. This new Catachan lady sergeant model that's been released now. Annoyingly, for a female guardswoman, which there is a fucking absence of from their model line
Even
right
though
now.
Half of them should be female.
Yeah, well, like Cadians, half of them should be women.
Yeah.
They just should be.
Yeah.
Canonically, that's what they are. So the fact there is literally, actually, is the Commissar, are they Cadian? I don't know where they're from, actually.
I don't know.
But yeah, the fact that there's no regular troopers is like just weird.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's rather cool. But the problem is that yeah, it's a store opening mini. So unless you happen to know a store that's opening near you,
Oh yeah, is that the only way of getting it?
Yeah, it's the only way to get it.
Oh.
But
Yeah.
I do want one. And I also want to just put it out there. There's like a minority of absolute fucking morons that are getting really mad because women's, and it's genuinely super pathetic. Because like Kirioth was like he print screened a bunch of comments and one of them was, "Oh my god, where are her nipples? She looks like a man." It's like, are you telling me that if you can't see a woman's nipples, you just think they're male?
I mean,
that feels like a you problem, dude.
That is the implication of that sentence. And
Yeah, or like, oh, woman with muscles. Man, again, I worry for you if, like, there's something wrong with your cognitive process. If you see, like, speaking as a muscular woman, if you look at a woman with muscles and go, oh, where's the woman? What's going on here? There's something. You're just a dick.
Yeah.
And like she's really cool. I like it how they didn't make her like super like fucking. You know, if this was done in the 90s, she would have had like it would have been low cut trousers with a G-string up to her fucking tits.
Have you seen some of the 90s
I have.
Guardsman models? Yeah, they ain't great.
I mean, now I will clarify. I'm not saying that you can't have massively overly sexualized like characters. That's fine. It's just, if you're going to do that with, like, female, like, guards, then I want to see fucking banana hammock wearing, like, male guards covered in fucking body oil bending over so you can see the curves of their balls. And gooch.
I will say one interesting thing about the model is that they have a midriff showing, but I think that's just so they can show off the abs.
Yeah.
Basically like how Doom Guy on the original covers got his ab section ripped out so you can see him.
Honestly, that image awoken things in me when I was a kid. I was a little girl going, I don't know why I like this so much. Also, Doom Guy with a nosebleed. Oh. Ooh. I did not understand those feelings. Anyway, now that I've finished thirsting after Doom Guy, I like it how, like, you know, she's obviously a lady, but, like, she still fits the design brief of Katachan's in the way that she's a femme Rambo.
Yeah.
She's fucking muscular as hell. She's doing a big scream on her and is armoured to the teeth. And also has a prosthetic leg, which is super badass.
Yeah.
I did not even notice that.
Yeah, the one she's standing on, like, the broken Tyranid carapace is, like, just from the knee down. It's like an Imperial Guard prosthetic. It's really cool.
She's also wielding a bolter, which, like, regular humans don't wield bolters very often because they have a habit of breaking arms.
To carry that gun, she needs to have those guns, you know what I mean? And yeah, she's just really cool. And the scar over the eye and everything, she's just rad.
But yeah, as I say, the only real problem is that, the whole availability is going to be, like, I can see what's going to happen is that people who are near, like,
they'll go and buy,
opening,
like, 30 and then scalp them on eBay. Like dicks.
Probably. Which is a pity. Like,
I would really like her. Because she's so cool, but
like we've been lucky enough to pick up a handful of the like exclusive minis, but like you do end up going like, well, it's kind of bullshit that I could only get this on like one day or in one specific place or whatever. Especially when it's something like this that like people have wanted for decades.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't mind like the Warhammer World exclusive stuff. That's like okay, I kind of get it because it's not like. I mean, how often does a fucking store open?
Yeah, that's the thing.
And it's just like, ugh.
But yeah, does anyone have anything else to say about the new model? Or shall we move on?
Like her, do want, quite upset, I'll probably never own her.
Yeah.
No one could own her. But you know what I mean.
That seems to...
I like it. I really hope they do some more female, like, guard models, because not only is it cool, it's canon, which so many people cling to.
Yeah.
It'd just be nice to see some diversity in there. But anyway, wibble it. Just a little bit.
Can you actually just like say that without doing that whole thing? Yeah. Like, can you ask me about what I've been doing without doing that? Is it physically possible anymore?
What am I doing? I honestly don't know what you're talking about.
Don't you?
No. Okay. Wibble-lot. Just a little bot. What have you been up to?
It got worse. Well, moving on from that, I have, in fact, done a few things.
Unforgivable
things. So I've been doing a few little hobby projects.
You gotta make it sound like that, don't you?
I've been getting together another Rogue Trader Dreadnought that I got.
I've been sculpting a bust of Jimmy Carr with my own spunk.
I mean,
no? Specific.
It's a bit too specific, isn't it? That'll make you think.
But anyway,
Matt's like frantically looking for his journal that I've obviously been reading.
Wiping up.
Frantically scooping up.
Anyway, so I've been making a new Rogue Trader Dreadnought, so that's fun. It's one of the ones with the short legs.
He's got the little stumpy leggies.
No.
So I had to build a fucking plinth for him so that he'd stand even remotely the same height as a modern Dreadnought.
Yeah, that was an ordeal, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I'll go into it in detail because spoilers. This is going to be like a video if everything goes well. But yeah, what I had to do was the base. I was like, okay, I want to make it taller, so I used some dice because we got a ton of dice from the Mortal Realms.
We got so many fucking dice
from buying a few copies of the first one, and they're just dice that nothing's going to be done with. So I was like, okay, well I'll use those because they're like the right height to make it the thing. And then I got some like all-purpose filler, like the stuff you use to fill holes in your walls to like make the bulk of it. Because I'd recently been reading like an old GW book about making terrain, and it suggested using that for that kind of stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, that'd totally work, wouldn't it? And it's dirt cheap compared to like green stuff or what have you, which obviously is more useful for more kind of things. So I used it. Now, it takes paint fine. Regular texture paint works on it, like the gravelly stuff, that all works on it. However, what I found out is that if you use the crackle paints...
Like Martian Iron Crust? A Grill and Earth kind of stuff? That like splits up into the parched earth.
Yeah, is the crust one? I think that's the other one. It's Iron Earth, I think.
Iron Earth, yeah, sorry. Fucking they name it Iron Crust and Iron Earth. It's like, hey, stop!
Iron Earth is the one that looks like a crust, and Iron Crust is the one that doesn't, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Games Workshop fucking hate us all.
But yeah, if you use one of those, the pressure of it cracking and shrinking in order to make the cracks appear, that's enough to rip the filler away, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
That's good.
Which I found out after doing it, because I put my old Rogue Trader Dreadnought on a 60mm base. Because I was like, well, if I'm doing it for the other one, I'll put that one on the right base as well. And yeah, that just tore it to pieces, and it was like, oh, okay. So I had to gradually like go through very slowly and like do it bit by bit, and it looks fine now. But yeah, so what I did with the base for the other one, it's like, okay, well, I'll cover it in a layer of green stuff, like a thin layer, just so that there's nothing touching it. Because I tried like covering it in PVA glue. The parts that didn't work, and that still pulled it up. So I was like, shit, okay, right, well, okay. So I covered it in green stuff. Well, I started covering it in green stuff. Turned out that when you do use green stuff, the water in it reacts badly to it.
Right.
So I then had to then cover it in PVA glue so I could then cover it in green stuff.
Loads of fun.
Good.
So a time and money saving exercise ended up saving me neither.
But you learned a lot, though.
But I learned a lot, so
so that's definitely a positive.
It's not all bad, and it looks okay now. I've just got I've got all the base coats on it now, so it's all good. I also finally bit the bullet and built a shock attack gun for my Grot Rebellion, so I now have a legal Grot Rebellion force. It's 300 odd points. It's 330 points and contains 20 grots, 3 killer cans, the Red Gobbo, a Runt Herd, and a shock attack gun. Like, that is a lot for what you could field, like, I don't know, 2 squads of Space Marines and like a HQ choice. So that's pretty fun.
I could like have Bjorn and like 2 Fenrisian wolves.
So yeah,
I want to see that fight.
That would be pretty amazing.
I think that should be this year's like bat rep.
Yeah.
Is that I'll put my Grot Rebellion against
And
something
then-
silly.
Yeah.
Maybe put it against your Nids. You can have like 3 Carnifexes and that's it.
I mean, that's all you need.
But apart from that, I have been watching through the entirety of the new She-Ra.
I watched through the first season and it was really good.
Well,
And apparently, like, Adora is just me. She has my old hairstyle. She
Yes.
has my natural hair color. And she's like a 7 foot tall, like, muscle woman. Just like I am.
There's maybe some slight differences there, but
Okay, I'm 8 foot tall, but still. Splitting hairs.
Okay, let's-
Yeah, close.
Yeah, okay, let's just leave it there. But yeah, so I watched through all, I think it's 4 seasons of it.
Yeah. It's relatively short.
What? There's
season.
4 seasons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But they've got like 12 or 7 to 12 episodes in each season.
Yeah,
or
like
something.
the middle 2 seasons are only like, I think one has 6 and one has like 7 episodes.
Okay.
So,
Oh, that's not too bad.
and they're
Just-
only 20
I felt
minutes
bad
long.
I felt bad that I haven't watched it yet. I thought I was only like 2 seasons behind. I didn't realise I was 4. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, if it was like a regular like American series, then there's about enough episodes to make like a season and a bit. So you know,
Okay, that's not too
it's
bad.
not too bad. You can burn through them like in a few days if you really, really want to. And yeah, I've been really, really enjoying it. It's really
It's good and super cool.
Yeah, there's
And way better than the original.
it's not particularly difficult to be better than the
No, I mean, like, the worst part about it is the names.
Yes.
Like Huntara and Thronetta or something.
Okay, Huntara's like in the grand scheme of things one of the least bad like offenders of it. Netosser, she
Netosser.
throws nets.
Yeah.
My
Nets
is...
tosser. Tossers nets.
yes,
Yeah.
they
Good.
do make a joke about that. My
Okay.
personal least favorite one is like Glimmers. Is one of the main characters because there's Adora who's She-Ra, and then there's like Glimmer and Bo are like her kind of like companion, like
buddies,
her
yeah.
friends, and they're sort of like the main trio that the show kind of follows. And her
Comrade
aunt,
Flying Horse.
oh yes, and Comrade Swiftwind.
Comrade Swiftwind, who, who is basically an anarchist.
A little bit, yeah.
Pretty good.
Starts talking about toppling unjust hierarchies and the like.
So obviously I love the horse.
The horse is amazing. But yeah, they Glimmer's aunt is like Aunt Castor, and her full name from the original show, which is mentioned like twice in the entire run of it, is Castor Spell. She's a mage.
Oh.
Yeah,
The names suck.
the bad guys come from the Fright Zone. It's
Yeah.
all the names that they had to use because of the old show.
I wonder why Catra's called that. Who knows? Although, to be fair, is it Scorpia?
Scorpio, yeah.
She is amazing.
Yeah, no,
She gives really good hugs.
it's really, really cool. And there's a few little things in it that really, really kind of like stood out to me. One is that it's really cool that there is a non-binary character in it who is played by a non-binary actor, which is just kind of cool.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They play a weird goblin character. It's great.
Fair.
Called Double Trouble. Another terrible name.
Yeah, there's certain things they can't get away from.
But
unfortunately.
despite having all that kind of like silliness, it like has a lot of heart to it, and it like
It is nice.
it's just really, really cool.
It just feels good, and also the what's his name, the sailor who's basically just my D&D character Nathan.
Yes, he is Seahawk.
Seahawk, yeah.
He's basically Nathan.
He's basically
there is
Nathan.
actually an episode of it that is just D&D. They're all just playing D&D.
Playing a human warlock.
They're doing like they're planning an attack, but they're doing it like D&D.
That's amazing.
And when Bo does it, he imagines the world, and they're all in the costumes from the original show,
Okay, that's kind of cool.
which is quite fun.
I bet they all look like twats.
They do, yes. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. And I having watched it, it is even more well, okay, I actually fully understand why, because they're reactionary dickheads. But I don't understand why there was any hoo-ah about it beyond this is a good show. Because
I get uncomfortable when it's not about me.
Well, yeah. As I say, they're just people who are getting
they're
upset by
they're just dickheads. It's like, fuck off.
Because the show is just really well written. Deals with a lot of really interesting discussions. There's a lot of things about friendships and what makes them work, and when a friendship isn't
magic. I'd heard.
Yeah. That's the show I've...
Hi there, every pony. Welcome to the MisanthroPod, the #1 cynical My Little Pony podcast online.
We're going to talk about it
Put your hooves together, everybody.
Like...
Every pony.
8 years after everyone stopped caring about it.
Yeah.
I have watched one episode of My Little Pony.
I watched Equestria Girls 1 and 2.
Why did you do that?
Because...
Were they any good?
They were okay. Honestly, like, it's like the Rick and Morty problem. I have a problem with that small part of the fandom.
But it does kind of taint the show.
It does. But I mean, honestly, it was fine. It was colourful. It was fun. The music was peppy and cute, and it was honestly it's fine. I think it'd be a good thing for kids.
Yeah,
because it's just very engaging to look at. So yeah.
But yes, She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, I believe is the full title. 100% would recommend. Even the villains, like all of them, are really engaging and have like. They're not, even though they come from the Fright Zone, they're not just villain, which is really great.
Okay. There's a lot of depth there.
Yeah, and cool. There are 2 things about voice actors in it that I feel I should mention. One of which is that Catra's voice actress is the person that plays Stevonnie in Steven Universe.
Stevonnie, heck yeah.
Which is cool. And the other one is the one that messed with me most, because I don't know about you, but whenever I watch a show, I'll wait until I've watched a fair bit of it, so I'm not going to get too badly spoiled on characters that will show up. And then I'll go onto IMDb and see what voice actors and things were in other things, because I just find that really interesting. And then I was like, okay, look at the actress who plays Glimmer. And then I scroll down a bit and I go, wait, what? She was Katana in Suicide Squad. What? What?
I would recommend not being killed by her. Her sword captures the souls of her enemy.
That was so on point of a fucking flag impression. That was terrifying.
Her name's Katana. She's got my back.
Does Katana even have any lines?
She literally bows at one point and whispers a prayer, and that's basically it. And I think she cries at some point too.
I just like the idea of this person who I've seen the majority of their work as a voice actress. I've seen them in a movie where they basically don't talk.
Don't say anything, yeah.
I was looking on Amazon, and I can get a Captain Boomerang figure from Suicide Squad for £4.98, and I was really tempted to get one, because fuck, he's awful.
He is really bad in that movie.
I mean, people seem to just dislike Jai Courtney anyway, so I don't know why. I mean, maybe he's a complete, dick. I don't know. But Captain Boomerang was so fucking shit, I love him.
He was the Waluigi of that movie for you, wasn't he?
He really was!
Where he's just so shit you love him.
He honestly was so shit, he was amazing.
The thing I most like about Suicide Squad is where he puts the
he keeps putting the unicorn in there because he likes to put his wee near it, and then there's a rule of 3 where he puts it in there and you see it twice, and then the third time he gets stabbed in the chest, and then he's like, aha, and pulls it out, and it's stuck in money, and what the fuck is a pink unicorn? Editing is for dweebs.
Yeah.
Film theory is stupid. We don't need that shit.
Yeah, it was really weird, because they establish in his intro spiel that he has... he likes pink unicorns.
Quote for pink unicorns.
A fetish for pink unicorns. He puts it in his coat and then, the start.
He's there's a shootout and he dives out of the way and it falls out.
Yeah, and then it falls out and he puts it back in. And it's very deliberate that they show you everything about this pink unicorn. And then after that point, it's never shown again. And the one time that it could have made sense, he gets stabbed and it gets stabbed into the unicorn and that's what saves him, it's just money. instead, which it's like fascinating, that movie.
It's like if someone paid me money to edit a movie badly on purpose, I couldn't do that. Even like knowing what I know about editing, you know how when you know a good deal about something, you can create something deliberately fucking awful?
Yes.
I couldn't do that.
It's actually...
I could not do it.
It reminds me from an editing front. It's like I remember when I was watching through the first. I couldn't get through the first season. It was too bad of Disenchantment, and I spent the entire time going like from like someone
the Kuleshov effect. Oh!
But when I was like watching it, and I was going as someone that has done a lot of editing for comedic purposes, like I was sitting there and going like, why is that cut like that? Like. I know that people have to animate it, so you are restricted to certain things. Like, you've told them to do this, and you're left with that raw material. But, like, just cut that shot by, like, half a second, and it would be so much punchier. And the whole show was full of things like that. And I was I was
There was
shocked
a lot of dead
by it.
air.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was like, you know, when you first start editing, like, you cut everything way too short.
Or way too long.
Or way too long. I always veered towards I cut everything way too short, so it ended way too quickly. And then when I realized that, I started leaving everything on for a bit too long, and it feels like that's at the point that show was edited. Where they're like, oh, I can't cut it too short, so I'll leave 6 seconds of dead air on the end of this. Because you always overdo it before you figure out the nuance. Which is just weird. But yeah, we should probably stop talking about really old shit and continue...
just randomly talking about movies and TV shows that are very bad.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I have got one other thing to mention. I've been playing a shite load of 2 Point Hospital.
Ooh, time to get political.
What are you saying that I'm going to find some way to be political talking about a game that's based around, you know, a health service? It's not like... you know, the fact that you have to pay for health services has got any kind of political implications around the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just, it's fine.
Can you imagine living in a world where some people believed that they should just die because they don't have money? Anyway, 2 Point Hospital is a video game, an apolitical one. This is an apolitical podcast, everybody. And if you say anything political, like if you mention women, we're going to ban you because that's politics. Just saying.
I'm going to talk about the video game for a bit, and I'm actually going to say something that is to do with politics that I actually think is really fascinating
you're
about
not
the game.
Talk about, I don't know, people who aren't white that exist, because that's political.
According to the internet,
or putting like a woman in like a coat in the snow, that's political as fuck, my dude.
I know, but I'll talk about the game. 2 Point Hospital is a spiritual successor to Theme Hospital.
Those were really, really big, and I never got into them.
I never played Theme Hospital at the time. I played it a little bit a few years ago when it was free on Origin, of all places.
Wow. Oh yeah, when they were still like, we suck so bad, here's free games, and then they just stopped doing it because they were like... Yeah, they stopped doing it a year ago, because they were like, we don't have anything else to give. Also, Epic Game Store's here, and people hate that more for some reason. I know why people hate it, but I was just saying
very good
Origin
reasons.
wouldn't, like EA wouldn't know why.
Yeah. But yeah, and having not really played Theme Hospital, so I was kind of coming into it from a vague recollection of having tried it a little bit in recent memory.
Oh, can I quickly interrupt you? 2 Point Hospital, is that the ones where they have the promotional image where it's just really creepy, like Wallace, like cheese faces?
Where they look like the works of Aardman Animation, the people that made Wallace and Gromit. Yes, they do look like that.
Yeah, what the fuck is up with that? They're so creepy. Every time, I'll open Steam, like half the time, it'll be like, hey, look at Theme Animal Park or something, and there's this really creepy looking people. And it just freaks me out. I hate it.
Yeah, no, it does. It has gone for like an intentional style that does look a little Wallace and Gromity. Except they don't look as good. So
No.
yeah, but yeah, the character models are. They look like someone's first attempt at making a face in a 3D program, but that's sort of such a minor point.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
a stylistic thing. I know the people that made it aren't. They're not complete amateurs.
No. I was
it's
just
a
saying,
style.
it's just an aesthetic that I personally can't get on with. But yeah.
And it doesn't really affect the game itself because the game is really fucking good. So. It's your standard kind of tycoon thing. You know, you build things and you have to satisfy the wants of the people inside it. And I'm ignoring you laughing at that. And you slowly build a bigger and bigger hospital. You have to hire your staff and like manage them, and you slowly train them because they have certain skills that they have. So say there'll be one person who they're really good at diagnosing people, so you can like set them to be, work in the kind of diagnostics kind of places. Or some will be, psychologists, so you can set them to work.
Now that's interesting because I haven't really played many hospital sims, but it is cool to have basically like mental health being taken into account.
Psychiatry is like a whole thing within it.
That's really cool.
And, they go and sit on the couches, the long.
Every therapy session
couch.
I've had, I sit on just a padded chair.
I know it's a lie.
I want to lie down and reminisce about my disappointing childhood.
So I want to lie down on a long couch,
a chaise-longue,
and
eat and drink red wine and be like, it all started when my father came back from the war.
But
and just look glamorous and wear a fucking feather boa. Well, like,
but
Sigmund
no, you just
Freud
sit down.
Is
you just sit down, and they go, "Oh, have you filled in your mindfulness sheet?" And you're like, "Yeah."
And they go, "Okay, like." On a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being severely and 5 being not at all, how has your mental health affected your day-to-day tasks? And you're like, I don't know, 4? And they're like, why do you think that is? Like, I don't know, I don't know, David, I'm fucking depressed.
I mean,
and then they go, okay, on a scale of 1 to 5, though, and I'm like, oh, fine.
I think the scale of 1 to 5 shtick might actually be doing better jobs than sitting there drinking wine and talking about your family all long.
But that would be glamorous. And I don't even like red wine. I think it's basically like Ribena that shit.
It's for the aesthetic.
It's the aesthetic, though. And I have like the flapper hairstyle and a string of pearls, and I'd be smoking a cigarette through a big long cigarette stick.
Okay. I'm going to talk about the video game for a bit.
I mean, no one's here for that, but okay. Everyone's here for my imagination.
I appreciate the tangents, but I need to get through my thought processes.
Okay, darling.
But yeah, so you assign your staff as sort of you want. You can like really specifically set them so this one person only works in the research lab or what have you. And as you go, it does that thing that I've noticed a lot of modern tycoon games tend to do, where they sort of borrow a bit from like mobile games in a kind of a positive way. I feel that you can do when you do each of the levels of it, they tend to be a little more compact and short, and sometimes work on like the 3-star kind of system, like mobile games do.
Oh, so like when you complete like a mission or a task, it gives you a rating and it's 3 stars. Okay.
And it means that some of the early levels you can actually complete really quickly, whereas even like the shortest levels in like say Roller Coaster Tycoon actually took quite a long time to beat. This may also partially be just because I'm enjoying the game and I realise that I think it's a short level, and then I realise I've been playing it for 4 hours, so your mileage may vary.
The Stardew Valley effect.
But yeah, there was one thing that I did want to mention, and I'm afraid this is the part that veers dangerously close to me talking about politics. I promise it won't last very long.
If it helps, literally 99.9% of things are all connected to politics, so it's fine.
Oh yeah, everything's political, so it actually doesn't matter. But one thing that I found very interesting, and I don't know if Theme Hospital did this, is that so the way this game works is you earn money from the treatments you make. It makes sense working it like that for a tycoon game because having to work off whilst personally I think it would be very interesting to work off like an NHS style budget and have to work things that way. I think that could be a really interesting way, but it'd probably be just...
That's like New Game Plus expert mode though. Like you've been defunded again because my friends don't want to pay tax.
Hello, this is Future Wib here. After playing 2 Point Hospital a bit more, there are actually parts that do have a sort of socialised healthcare angle to them. And yes, it is really awkward, but I thought I'd just come in and mention this so you don't have to leave a comment telling us that the game does in fact have it. So yeah, back to the podcast. But because of that, it means that you are in a situation where you're charging people individually for their healthcare. Now, if you keep your prices at the standard, no one ever says anything about it, so it's very easy to just disconnect it and sort of see the money coming in as very abstracted and not think about how an American-style healthcare system is an absolute nightmare and just lets poor people die because they don't have money. America, your healthcare system is evil, and you need to get rid of it. Oh my Jesus! But if you raise your prices slightly. Occasionally someone it'll just come up saying they refuse to pay, but they've received the treatment, but they just refuse to pay. And I found that tiny little thing really fascinating, because suddenly that reframes what could be a really depressing part of the game a lot, because if it was like reality, it'd be, well, you're charging them for it, and now they're going into debt. And
if they don't pay it, they're going to lose their house.
Yeah. Instead, it's framed as you charge too much, so they don't pay you. So it puts the onus of the power there on the consumer of the thing instead of on the healthcare system.
I guess it's kind of like exercising a right, like withholding rent if your landlord is not fixing your heating.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. It's like, no, you're being shit, so I refuse to pay. And it's like, you don't think about how much that would change the landscape of private healthcare.
Yeah, and I just thought that was very interesting. It was just a subtle change or something. It just kind of really stood out to me because I'm playing it and of course I see this system and I can't help but compare it because we have we're in the UK, we have a socialised healthcare system
for now.
For now,
yeah.
And despite its repeated attempts at destroying it that have been attempted over the last 40 years. It's one of I honestly think the NHS is one of the greatest achievements of mankind. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's like if one of my lungs collapses, I can just go into A&E and have my life saved.
Yeah, when we were
probably the most I'll have to pay is like parking for my family, or I don't know, something from a vending machine. Because...
Yeah, like the knowledge that even when we were at our poorest, if one of us got like chronically ill, we'd still be okay. Mm-hmm. Is a thing that I desperately wish is a feeling that I could show to people that think that paying for healthcare is good, because I want them to know what that freedom feels like. But yeah, no, I just found that little thing really fascinating.
Yeah, no.
The game as a whole, really good. Can definitely recommend it. I've probably sunk about 30 hours into it without even really thinking about it. So that's probably a good sign. So yeah, I think it's quite good.
Nice.
But yes, that's all I really have to say. So, Drummer Matt, what
Hello.
have you been up to?
I have not been doing too much, but I've been playing a new game.
Yes?
On the Nintendo Switch, but I believe... Well, based on what game it is, I assume it's a mobile game, and I did...
Is this one about trains again?
It is not about trains, no. It's
I'm
a bit more serious than
disappointed.
trains. It's speaking of the borderline political. It's gonna be borderline political again. I'm sorry.
Oh
no.
Yeah, it's a text adventure in that you're like the whole game is you are texting someone.
Okay.
So you've got like a phone interface on the console. Which makes me think it is also probably a mobile game because it'd work really well on a phone. Yeah. And you are a Syrian person, and your partner is trying to run away because everything is being bombed to shit.
Oh shit!
And
okay, that sounds heartbreaking.
It is, yeah. You're just basically texting them and like texting them advice, and like it basically comes up. They say something, and you've got like a couple of different options to reply, and depending on what you say, they can go to different places or try different things, and then it can end badly or less badly, basically. Yeah, I'm sort of laughing just because otherwise I might not like get through talking about it because it gets pretty.
It sounds like it has the. Chance of getting super fucking real.
Like obvious trigger warnings in that it's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
What's it called again?
It's called Bury Me, My Love. I don't think I said that at the start.
No.
No.
But it's good. But yeah, if you're not in the right place for it, it can be a little bit. It's not the most cheery. It's not the most cheery. I'm gonna be honest. But it's really it's all looks hand drawn. All of the art. So like if they send you like a selfie or whatever, it's like a hand drawn. So it's quite pretty as well. And yeah, I've been enjoying it. If that's the right way of saying it, it is good. And it's not all it's not all just complete miserableness. But yeah, if you're feeling up for it, it's worth playing. It's interesting. Because there's like you don't get that experience in basically any other game really. You go around and you're playing Doom and shooting people, and you're playing hospital management games or train simulator games. There's not really many games that go that way. So
I think there's a few that have, like,
and that's not to say
with...
anything bad about in quotation marks normal games or whatever at all. But it's if you're feeling up to it, it is a very different sort of thing.
It gets into that interesting question as video games mature. I think people are there's a lot of people are having to confront the fact that sometimes an art a piece of art doesn't have to make you feel good to be good. Like there are games out there that I wouldn't say that I would go are really quite good and powerful, but I wouldn't say are fun.
Yeah, I'd say I'd classify like This War of Mine.
That's the example I was going to say. Yeah,
or like Spec Ops: The Line, kind of things where it's just like it's just fucking miserable, but it's also I'm not going to say an educational experience because that sounds really fucking artsy-fartsy. But it is different, and it does show you a non-glamorized perspective of war. Because,
And I think it is important to have video games be more than just bleep bloop. You put bullet in bad people, basically to make everything just fucking elaborations on space invaders.
Yeah, not that bleep bloop put bullet in bad people is bad. It's just nice to have a bit more variety.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing of like these. It's why I've never been like down on the concept of walking simulators, which quite often are not necessarily fun, but they're engaging. I guess that's the word I'm looking for.
But then a lot of like the shitty ones out there are just like, oh yeah, we'll just put a few notes in there saying, oh, bad things happened. This house is haunted.
Oh yeah, well the problem with walking,
it's hard to get right.
Yeah, with walking simulators, like any genre, if you approach it lazily and badly, then you're going to make a bad version of it. But the genre in and of itself is not inherently like bad.
Yeah.
But no, that sounds very interesting, and also the sort of thing that I probably won't ever get around to playing because, oh my god.
God, I don't think I am emotionally able to play something that potentially grim and gritty.
How many different endings?
I actually don't know. I haven't actually finished a run through yet, so I haven't got to an ending. But I know that there is different endings depending on what choices you make and all that. But I don't want to look up how many endings there are or what they're like because I don't want to find out what any of them are. I have no idea, to be honest. So I also don't know how long it is, but I'm kind of hoping not too long.
Is this a free game or is it a paid one?
I got it for free when there was a deal on the Switch store. When you bought other games, you got another one for free.
Okay.
But I think it's paid for on. It's at least I did some homework before the episode and checked, and it's on Apple Store. I presume it's probably also on Android. It was $2.99 in the Apple Store.
Okay.
But I don't know how much. I got it for free just because it was a free bundle thing. It was like if you bought a game from this publisher, you got another game free, or there was some offer. It's not much.
But no, that sounds very interesting.
But yeah, I don't want to talk really any more about it, to be honest, because it's a story game, so I don't want to go through the story. And in terms of interface and mechanics, it's just you're on a phone and you're replying to messages, so there's not really too much else to talk about without spoiling things.
You can't really talk about how's the gun feel? It feels like I'm using a phone through a Switch.
Well, actually, I can say one because I'm playing on the Switch. And the Switch is obviously I've got the Switch Lite, so it's just a Game Boy basically.
Yeah,
but it's widescreen because that's how it should be. But because it's the phone interface, originally it's like it's a vertical phone interface down the middle band of the giant Switch screen, which is a bit stupid.
Oh, that sounds like when you play a proper fucking bullet hell shmup on a PC, and it's just this thin sliver down the centre of your big ass screen.
It's like 20 by 90 pixels, and you're like,
yeah,
what?
basically. So to start with, I was just like, oh, this is going to be really annoying. But then I was like, oh no, in the settings there's an option just to rotate it around, so that makes sense. But now it means I'm playing the game holding the Switch sideways like you would hold a phone, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, a little bit.
And then using the touchscreen instead of because you can just use the it's like, press X to reply with this, press Y to reply with this sort of thing. Which is how I was playing for the first 5-10 minutes before I realised. But once you can swap it around, that gets a bit weird, so you end up just touching the screen. So it's like, I keep forgetting that the Switch isn't my phone.
So you're like, okay, weird. She's taking a while to reply, I'll check, like, Facebook.
I'm just imagining you answering, like having your phone ring and then trying to answer your Switch. And it looking like you're a toddler with like a toy
Nokia
phone.
Nokia N-Gage holding on its side.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. But I imagine it's almost more confusing if it was on your phone, because you're texting someone on your phone, but you're not actually texting them or using your texting app.
God, knowing me, I'd text like, get out while you still can. The people traffickers are coming to like my brother, and he'll be like, lol,
wait, what?
Mood. We were like fucking like texting in sporadic German. And I was like, oh, yes.
You and your brother.
My brother and I, yeah.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, mein Bruder, when are you free for a visit, kind of thing. And he was like, oh, well, how about Sunday so you can see the kleine Kind, like Kinder. And I was like, oh, yeah. And like, I was like, oh, he said this. And you were like, what? And I was like, oh, yeah, we're talking German. You're like, who? I'm like, my brother and I, and he's like, fucking, yeah, okay, you know what, that makes sense. And I'm like, God, how do you not, read my mind? That's really silly.
Yeah, the thing in the podcast where I have to stop you talking so that you can provide context for what you're saying.
Yeah.
That is not just a podcast thing.
That is a my brain doesn't work properly thing. That's just...
As I have to stop you and go like, okay, you need to give me context here before I can get engaged in this conversation.
Not as bad as when, like, I'd like to think I'm getting better for it, but it used to drive you nuts where I'd be like, oh, it's like, 10-pound bird of beef. And you're like, what? And I'm like, 10-pound bird of beef. And I'll just keep saying it over and over again and refusing to explain.
Until I have to go, no, I'm being serious. Stop doing that. It's legit driving me insane.
I go, oh, it's a Letterkenny reference, and you're like, thank you.
That's all I needed to know. You repeating it on its own is fine. I can deal with that. But it's you repeating something with zero context, and then when I ask you what you're saying, you just repeat it back to me.
Do you remember when my brother and I, like, destroyed my mother's shopping list by just keep putting loads of, like, lines in places, so soap became spap and shit like that?
Yes.
And then for, like, a month, we were like, oh no, we were like, it was just, like, years and years later, because that was when we were both living at home. And my mother was furious, because she was like, what the fuck is a fogel? I didn't write this. What? Spat? And she got really mad. It was so funny. She literally couldn't get like 75% of the groceries she went out to get because we'd ruined it that much. It was awesome. And then like years and years later, we were sitting around, like, I think it was for Christmas, we were at my brother's house, and my brother and I were like, I was like, excuse me, sir, do you know where the spap is? And he was like, oh yes, I believe it's in the Fogel aisle next to the blah blah blah. And like Sammy, my brother's partner, she just went, you do realise that neither of you are speaking, like, the both of you are speaking fucking bullshit, right? And we were like, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, girl, I've known you for a decade. You really haven't got me yet. But yeah, so I think that's where I get it from. My brother and I would just do that shit and drive my parents nuts.
Yeah, I mean, that's a legit use for it.
That's a good use.
Just don't turn it towards me, all the lovely listeners.
I mean, listeners, I hope some of you messaged in and said that Wib was wrong. And if you haven't, then I'm personally disappointed in you, and I'm going to shed one tear for every sadness you have given me, which is 1,000,000.
You best get on that, then. It's going to take you a while.
Yeah, spoilers. No one's emailed in to say that, so...
Oh, wow, okay, that's completely...
Although, admittedly...
I am crushed by my failure.
Admittedly, it's not like Matt would know, since you said to put it in the subject line, and he never reads those.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's probably true. People might have said that.
Matt.
What else have you been doing, Matt, apart from ignoring the titles of any email anyone sends in?
I mean, that takes up a lot of time. You'd be surprised.
I would not be. Your dedication to your craft is truly something that I admire.
Yeah, I totally did the emails before we started recording Honest today.
Okay, I guess it's the lack of dedication to your lack of craft.
Yeah, that's more precise. But having such a lack of dedication takes time, so I've done nothing else, I'm afraid.
That is fine.
That is fine.
Snipe,
Yes.
what have you been up to?
Oh, so many things, actually. Like, I've been watching pornography. I haven't. Need to get on that. Well, I watched, speaking of watching stuff, I watched a movie called Polaroid, which is a MA-15 horror movie about a camera that's evil.
Okay. Is it a low-budget film?
No.
Sounds like a low-budget film.
Honestly, like, I feel like I don't hate this movie as much as I should. It's just
Okay.
it's like, I'm quite surprised they managed to get the licensing for the name Polaroid, because
It's really weird that
true.
they got the license for it.
Okay, so like for people who don't know, number one kind of rule in advertising: if you get something licensed, say like Pepsi Man is a good example. Like 99.9% of the time, the brand will go, okay, but these are the regulations for you using this. The brand can't be used to hurt people. Like the product can't be used to hurt people.
That's
it can't
why,
be shown doing X, Y, Z.
It's why, like in the old McDonald's, like kind of Super Nintendo era sort of games. Even when you have one, there's like one where I think it was like McKids or something, and it wasn't McKids, it was the one after that, where they had like
McKids 2,
they had
Fry
like
Another Day.
They had like super soakers that were full of slime.
I thought you were going to say piss.
Maybe. But because they couldn't be, because they obviously didn't want them to show actually shooting anyone.
Or like the Chex Quest, where it's just a fork and you have to splorch them back to their home planet.
Yeah, it teleports them back.
It's like, yeah. Right. But yeah, so the fact that they have a Polaroid camera, which also, we looked into it, doesn't have a flash.
Despite that being...
that model doesn't have a flash.
They explicitly they don't just show you the model, they explicitly state the name of it.
The name and like the model number.
It's like an SX70 or something like that.
It's something like that, which didn't have a flash. And like, on the
Nice.
on all cameras, you hear the like the flash charging. No.
And like the fact it has a flash and that sound is integral to the plot.
Yeah.
Why didn't they just pick a different model of Polaroid?
I don't know. Maybe that was like one that the director found in their like garage or something.
It was such a low budget they only could use.
It wasn't
the
that
one
low
they
budget.
found.
It wasn't that low budget.
They could afford a better camera.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
Okay, it might have not been low budget, but they used all of the budget on the Polaroid licensing
Yeah.
thing.
So it's basically about this evil camera that if you take someone's photo with it, they die. Not like immediately, but they get killed by like, it's referred to in the subtitles as the entity, and it's like this spooky, skelly kind of like Slender Man, like naked Slender Man kind of ghost thingy that just kills people.
Also, the Polaroids you take also become kind of like voodoo dolls.
Yeah, they do.
Ooh.
It's really okay. I thought that was pretty interesting, actually. Yeah. Where it's like, so when you take a photo of somebody, a shadow will appear that's kind of in the shape of the entity in the background, showing that they're the next person to die. And there's a part where one of the people is like, "Oh, this is bullshit. See, I'm gonna," and then they start burning the Polaroid picture, and then like after like 5 seconds, the fire goes on to like his girlfriend, and she literally just catches fire in like real life and starts freaking out, and they've got the fire extinguisher on her and nothing's happening, and then main character, whose name is Bird, which I think is a subtle nod to a Goosebumps story.
Yeah, that was mentioned in the trivia on IMDb, and it was like, Because apparently there was the plot
Say
comes from
cheese and die, and then there's like another
it's apparently
young adult horror story.
I think it's like the exact same plot as like an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark or something.
Yeah, it's something like that. And in like Say Cheese and Die, the character's name is Bird, which I think must be a reference to the whole Watch the Birdie.
Could be.
You know, but I don't know. But anyway, and like it's actually pretty interesting because they call her Scarf Girl because kids are shit and uncreative, and she wears a scarf and she's got like a big cut on her neck, and it's kind of, I like it how they don't straight out just go, it was from when my dad died in a car accident and now I am haunted and have neck scar and am embarrassed about it. But yeah, and it's like I'm not gonna spoil a massive amount, but I guess yeah.
No, just don't go into it much, because I think it is probably worth letting people see the
thing is, yeah, it's not
to.
bad, and like, you know, she's got a crush on like the popular guy who refreshingly isn't a dick. He's not a bully or anything. He's just a handsome dude, and he's nice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's really positive, because usually it's like, it's, you know, you get the hunky jock idiot like love interest who's like treats the main character like shit because she's like an outcast or, you know,
probably
whatever.
the last person to die. And like and then he's like, oh yeah, I stopped bullying you for 2 minutes and found out that you're actually a human being. I want to fill you up or whatever. I don't fucking know. Like the standard kind of like teenage girl crushing on like a popular guy. It just kind of flips it around. I'm like, you know what? That's really cool. And, you know, I like their relationship, and it's not a fantastic movie, but it's got some really interesting elements that I just found nice. You know? It's just found it nice. A not particularly good movie, but that has some interesting ideas.
It has some interesting ideas. It's got, honestly, it does feel like it has a good bit of heart to it as well. And I don't know, I'm quite warm to it.
You have watched a lot of really shit horrors on Netflix.
So many.
Yeah, you have.
So seeing one
So
that
many.
had some interesting like ideas to it is always nice.
I've got to see The Boy too, because I remember when I saw The Boy.
I don't remember.
It's basically this creepy mannequin and like called Brahms, and these two old people are like, could you please, hello nubile young lady, could you take care of this our child? And she's like, sure, and it's just a fucking mannequin.
Yeah, and the actual child is like the fucking monster kid in the basement or something. Yeah,
he's just like the quote unquote ugly kid who just lives in the walls and has a mask. And then like spoilers, but it's bad. It's not scary, and it's daft, and it kind of like ruined it by making it not supernatural while basically coding the entire thing supernatural from the beginning. And it's like it's just bleh. But yeah, so yeah, it's not really scary, but it's just interesting, and I can recommend it. You know, I probably wouldn't watch it again, but I don't feel bad for having watched it. Okay, Beastars. Beastars. Like it's kind of like a portmanteau of beast and stars, but they kind of put it together for one word. I've been reading.
Not bees aren't involved.
No, I'm sorry. It's like beast.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been reading Beastars, the manga, which I really like. It's basically it's like Zootopia, but fucking like grimdark. So you get like all the kind of anthro animals, which, oh my god, the hands drawn in this I love the way the hands are drawn. There's so much detail in the hands and the claws, and it's great. I really like it.
Whoever draws it has got a thing for hands. I've seen enough examples.
Yeah, and they're beautiful to behold. And the main character is a wolf, a grey wolf called Lugosi.
I still think they missed a chance on not calling him Cheney.
I know, but like Lugosi is a little like there's a degree of separation there.
Yeah,
so I get it. And plus, like, Bela Lugosi was in The Wolfman.
He did play the Wolfman.
He was playing Bella in The Wolfman.
He did also play the Wolfman at some point, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. So it's like, it's not entirely divorced.
I think No, he didn't play the Wolfman, because Lon Chaney Jr. played the Wolfman in nearly every, in all the early ones.
Didn't Boris Karloff play one? I don't know. My knowledge
no,
is
it's good.
pretty
Bela
shit.
Lugosi played Frankenstein at one point. That's what I'm thinking of.
There we go. Okay. But yeah, so his name is Lugosi, and it's a world where there's carnivores and herbivores. I can't remember explicitly what they refer to each other as, but it's basically carnivores and herbivores. And like eating meat is forbidden, but like the carnivores do eat insect protein. So it's like cultivated for them, and like, like a bunch of like beans and stuff, and just like loads of protein things just to keep the predators basically healthy and like, giving them all the nutrients. And like the whole like killing and eating like prey animals is a thing, but it's treated as like this horrible fucking crime. Like it's shown as like you can drink animal like prey blood, and if predators do that, it's basically like heroin to them. It fucking ruins their life. It's like it gets them super psyched up and aggressive.
As someone that hasn't read or watched, because it's a show now as well.
I'm just reading the manga. I'm not watching the show.
As someone that hasn't watched or read any of it, would you like to know my two kind of bits of introduction to this media property?
Can I make one guess? Is one of them pornography?
No,
okay.
It's not.
Okay. Because it does have quite a bit of sex in it, actually.
Yeah, I have seen some of that.
It's not done in like... Okay, there's always that one scene. Whenever you read a manga or whenever you watch an anime, it has that one scene, and it is kind of gross.
But my introduction to it was the beautifully animated stop motion thing, which
the anime.
I think it was made as I think it might be the actual intro of the show, but I don't know because literally every bit of text on it was in Japanese, and I can't read Japanese. But yeah, and it's
this beautiful stop motion thing. Lugosi dancing with there's a rabbit character called Haru.
Yeah, basically him dancing with her, and like it manages to have like a fucking gut punch in this little animated short.
Oh Christ!
And I was like, oh fucking hell, this show doesn't fuck around, does it?
I remember Plasma Dragon sent me that like ages ago, and I was just like, fucking hell, okay, I love it.
Yeah, and the other one is seeing a print as a shot of a single frame of the comic, where there was a character, I can't remember, it might have been an anteater, I think, who had several missing fingers, and the fingers they had left had a price tag on them, and they were selling their fingers to carnivores for them to eat.
There is that's the thing, it does handle that kind of thing as like, so poverty-stricken like herbivores, like prey animals, they sell bits of their body for money on like the black market. So yeah, like they like
sell your blood surely, and then like you can make more of it.
They do that too. There's also like there's also like child farms that they have in the black market where they basically just have a bunch of kids locked up and then they sell them for meat.
Yeah.
Or like they
that
them.
Is kind of like the real world. So.
Yeah, and it's just like fucking like because they go to this black market or the back alley market, I think they referred it out as, and there's the prey animal holds up their fingers, which they've got like 7 left, and they've all got price tags, and like the predators Lugosi is with are like, come on, if we pool our money together, we can all have a piece of one finger, and it's just like, and Lugosi's like, I have to leave. Fuck this, dude. Because it's like he can't help like the predators can't help it. They are basically malnourished because they eat bug protein and stuff. So they all have that kind of horrible hunger in them. So and like it's like in the actual like setting, like every month, like there literally isn't a month that goes by without a vicious murder of a prey animal, because they basically just lose their mind to like hunger and malnourishment and just go and fucking kill one. But yeah, the main crux of the story is that Lugosi, who's quite a gentle giant, the grey wolf, basically falls in love with a dwarf bunny who's like really small. But what I really like about Haru, the rabbit's character, is that she is portrayed as incredibly promiscuous. And like Lugosi is literally warned about her going, careful, I've heard she eats men alive. Like, you know, a nice little parallel. And, like, she doesn't care. She's like, no, I like sex. So? And then there's, like, another bunny who's, like, angry at her for, like, fucking her boyfriend. She's like, hey, look, if your boyfriend sucks. He came to me. So, you know, I don't see what your problem is. And she's like, you got in between us. And she's like, no, that was him being a fucking dick. Sex was good, though. So she's like, it's just like, damn, okay, because you expect her to be like a maiden, and she's not. She's just like, no, fuck this. I'm an 18-year-old, like, fucking, like, young woman. I like fucking. I see it as a very casual kind of exchange. What's the fucking problem? It's like Lugosi, like, he goes, like, to help her with something, and she's like, oh, thank you so much for helping me. And then they go into, like, the garden shed, and she's like, so, you know, what do you want for helping me? And he's like, oh, I don't know. She's like, okay. So she just starts, like, undressing and taking his trousers off, and he's like, he's thick as fuck. So he's like, what? Okay. And then, like, he runs, and she's like, oh, I've never done it with, like, a predator before, so, you know, this is gonna be interesting. Try not to bite me, wink, wink. And then he fucking runs, and then you see him in, like, the school computer, like computer lab going, small prey animals showing gratitude by removing clothing. Because he just doesn't get it.
But he is peak bloke right there.
Yeah, peak bloke, and it was funny. But yeah, no, it's like, it deals with some pretty grim issues.
I fucking can tell from what you're saying, yes.
It does have quite funny moments. It doesn't feel like it does a lot of stuff for, like, just pure shock, which is so fucking tedious. But yeah, no, it's interesting. The characters are interesting. I like it. It does have a few, like, Japanese story tropes, like, you know, the rich kid who's very noble and good at everything.
From what I have kind of absorbed about the story from you, and, like, because like this, it was weird. The same night you started reading it, there was someone on my Twitter feed that was, like, live tweeting reading it as well. So I kind of got, like, information of it from, like, two perspectives at the same time, and they were, like, a little bit ahead of you. So, like, sometimes you go like, oh fuck, I've just encountered this thing, and, like, I knew what was coming.
And you're like, I've known that for 5 fucking minutes. God damn you.
Yeah, it was really surreal. But it feels like it's one of those things that it feels like it's on a knife edge of the. If it could go really into bad territory, like not just hard to deal with territory, but, like, really bad, and it shouldn't do it this kind of way territory, but also could, like, but it feels like it's straddling that line of, like, between, like, doing everything safe and doing everything the worst way, but kind of treading a kind of weird fine line where it uses the stuff that's maybe a bit to, like, make a point.
Yeah, again, there's that one scene which is a bit weird. Yeah. Which within that one scene, like, the story around that particular happenstance is so fucking stupid. It is really silly. It's just, okay, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's basically like, okay, how do we get Tenacious D's Storm the Gates song on paper? And it's just like, okay, this is really silly. But, you know, it's still like, yeah, fine, okay. But yeah, it's interesting, and I do like it. But yeah, I will move on, because, yeah. I've been playing a lot of The Division 2.
Yeah.
Because that was on sale for £2, down from, like, 45, and the less money I give Ubisoft, the better. And yeah, I've been really enjoying that. It's a lot like the first one, but I think it just feels a lot nicer to play. It's set in Washington, D.C. instead of New York.
This is the MMO.
Apolitical.
It's very, like all Ubisoft, like the Tom Clancy games, they're all very apolitical.
Yeah, they're completely apolitical.
But this is the one that's the MMO type thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, so you can have a friend. It's a bit like Breakpoint and Wildlands in the way that when you're in, like, well, no, it's Breakpoint is where you're in, like, the main hub area, and you can see loads of other players.
Yeah.
But you can also have someone join, and, you know, you just head out into the world, and it's just you and them, or, like, however many mates. It's that kind of thing. It's more based on scavenging. It's an RPG, basically. And yeah, I've just been really enjoying that, playing with Longfang on Thursdays, and doing side missions and stuff on other days. So yeah, no, I've been enjoying that. That's fun. Played a game of 40k with my new Tyranids today.
Nice.
Yes, we were at Warhammer World today. Yes.
We were. That was fun. God, they're weird. All the big dudes have different stats. I've been playing Marines too long, and they've all got different stats. There's psychic abilities.
You're not used to everything you have being like, okay, so this is this toughness, this is this strength, this can move this amount. This
has 6 attacks. This has 2, and it's just like what.
You used to like, oh yeah, there's a Marine stat line, you've got your Dreadnought stat line, and then you're pretty much sorted.
Toughness 7, 2+ to hit because Venerables, all that easy stuff. Nope! Tyranids are just all different and it's really weird. But no, I had fun. And Wib beat me. He beat my little boys. My poor Gribblies.
I did, you know what the weirdest part about that game was?
I managed to initiate a charge turn 1.
Yeah.
Nice.
Flying Hive Tyrants can technically do it, yes.
My Flyrant was just like, hey, bro! I fucked him up.
That did mean that my turn 1 was spent firing literally every bit of ordnance that I had into your Hive Tyrant.
Yeah, and it lived.
It fucking did. I think, was it because I was like, I shot it with everything, and then at the end, because I had Land Raider, I was like, I really wanted to use those 4 las cannon shots to try and take out.
But because I was in like base-to-base contact with it, you couldn't.
Well, no, it was because I backed away from it. It was just everything else had tried to kill it and hadn't. And I was like, oh, this needs to die. All right, then, fine, 4 las cannons into it. And yeah, it turns out very few things, even if you've got a 4+ invulnerable save, can deal with 4 las cannons being shot into them.
But yeah, that was fun. Deep striked a Trigon Prime with a squad of 8 Gene Stealers, not 10, because the box only comes with 8, because fucking hell. And basically just had a big fight there. Tyrannofexes in close quarters are a lot better than I thought they'd be.
You know the part that I liked the best was where my play of the game is, well, I say play of the game, but my player of the game, rather, would probably be my Land Raider in melee combat.
Yeah, what the fuck?
It completely tied up your Trigon for the entire game, managing to soak up its hits and hitting back with remarkable efficiency.
I mean, my first attack with my Trigon Prime on your Land Raider, it did the maximum. It did 6 wounds to it. Which was really boss.
Yeah, you sliced a big chunk out the side of that damn thing.
Yeah.
And then the Land Raider just kept hitting you back.
It was. I can imagine it was just moving its sponsons really quickly back and forth. Like, quit hitting yourself.
Yeah, it's got like a boxing glove just like duct taped to the end of one of the sponsons and then just rotates.
It was speedballing me.
Because it's what I'm actually using is a Land Raider Proteus, so it's like styled after the old Rogue Trader one. So I imagine those las cannon things can just spin all the way around.
Oh, so it was just.
it
walked literally speedballing a Trigon
Prime. It walked towards you, going, if you get in the way of this, then that's not my
I'm gonna do this. Yeah, basically. But yeah, Wib won. It was down to my Trigon Prime and my Tyrannofex, and yeah, they just got crushed because they're like vehicles in the way that once they get really low, they just start sucking.
I did manage to get a few lucky rolls. Plus, it was the first time you'd ever fought with them.
Yeah. So I had no idea what the fuck I was doing.
I did also find out that because I've been used to just fighting you with nothing but dreadnoughts, I can't. And because I only normally ever have one dreadnought if I haven't got my Leviathan with me.
You took the Furioso and
I had a Furioso and a regular dreadnought.
Yeah.
Both my Rogue Trader dreadnoughts. Because I have like.
Which got so many comments, by the way. It's like, they're not. Wait a minute. People start salivating on the table. You're like, yeah, okay.
But
get a good look. They're going to be off the fucking table soon because I'm going to kill them.
But yeah, those I managed. It turns out those are actually quite good at taking down things like Carnifexes.
Don't like it.
Especially the Blood Angels ones, because they can take just regular melter guns as their underslung weapon. So you charge.
They can't.
According to Battle Scribe, they can't, but according to the Codex, they can. And I trust the Codex more than I trust this third-party app.
I mean, it is a good app, but occasionally it does get confused.
But yeah, it turns out that charging into something like a Carnifex, shooting them with a melter gun, doing a shite load of damage without close, and then charging them afterwards is a really efficient way of taking down Carnifexes.
I took Old One Eye, and he didn't get to fucking pop off one swipe, and he is a melee-only character. He's like my Murderfang of my Tyranid army.
I mean, in fairness, he did get shot in the face with a melter gun and then charged by the Furioso that shot it.
Yep.
With two Furioso fists. So,
yep.
Yeah, it didn't go well for him.
Wasn't good. But yeah, so that was fun. Last thing I've been up to. I played this on stream on Saturday because Wib was exhausted and hadn't slept, so he was in bed and then I decided to stream World of Horror, which Longfang gifted to me because he is a nice dude. Now, this really is such an irrational pet hate of mine, but they refer to it as a 1-bit game. When it is not, it is an 8-bit game in the style of...
What?
Yeah, you can have it in 1-bit style or 2-bit style, which just adds grey.
I wonder if they intend it to mean, like... Maybe it's
One
like...
colour, 2 colour, I don't know.
Yeah, like they're referring to, like, if it's just about the colour, then maybe...
1-bit colour palette.
Yeah, maybe that's what they're referring to.
Maybe, but I mean, it just gets on my wick, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's a bit of a checklist. So it is in early access. It does have some translation errors because it is just made by one person and they are not a native English speaker. So, but I mean, that notwithstanding, they still did a fucking great job with all the text and everything. It's in the style of an old adventure game, and it's an RPG, a roguelike, and a horror game. But not like jump scare, blah, 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 blah. It is like, it's very Lovecraftian and has creeping horror to it. And I freaking love this game. It's hard as fuck. Also, I would say, if anyone starts up the map mode, I'll get to that in a second. If anyone starts out the town map mode and the Scissor Woman thing is there, do that first, because that is a really fucking difficult one to do. And if you get to the end, like I did, but that's my last one, and you die, you have to start all over again. There is saving in it, but you forget all your spells.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the cost for saving.
I've just learned the game has spells in it, so it's an exciting day for me.
Let me start explaining. So, the main conceit is you are a person looking into occult or paranormal kind of mysteries. They've got different levels of like difficulty, and you can also have there's a randomizer where you can pick your old god, because there's multiple old gods you can pick.
Are they any ones that we know, or have they got their own names?
They're their own kind of thing. But you know what? I kind of like that. It kind of separates it a bit. I mean,
a bit like how Eternal Darkness had its own pantheon of
like
gods.
Manta Rock and stuff like that. Yeah, it's like that. So it's very, very heavily inspired by Lovecraftian kind of horror. And Junji Ito. There's a lot of body horror, like twisted looking kind of people, or just creepy looking people. Like if you remember Fuichi from I think the story's called The Model. It's a very iconic character design where she has a very pointy, long face and huge, sharp teeth and really sunken eyes, and she's very tall.
That sounds horrifying.
Honestly, I will show you a picture of Fuichi. Give me 1 second.
I don't think I want to. I'm going to bed soon.
I got her name wrong. Her name is Fuchi, and it's like stuff like that where it's just creepy and wrong, and I really like the art style. It's really good. The gameplay is like you start up a mystery, you read about what it's to do with. Basically the tutorial one is the Scissor Woman, which I think is a piss poor choice for the first go. It should be a different one that's a lot easier.
But is that sort of like the necessary one to do?
No,
first?
I mean, it. I'd say it's more of a vertical slice than a lot of the other ones, because a lot of the other ones maybe they have significantly less combat.
So it's a good one to play to see if you'll like the game, but it's also harder than it should be.
It is a lot harder than it should be. But yeah, you play as a guy in a school, and basically your friend has disappeared. There's rumors of a Scissor Woman, and you need to, with his notes, you need to basically do like a banishment kind of ritual. So you go get chalk and and holy candles, and it is roguelike, so things are almost always in a different place, or you encounter different things at different points. I'd say the Scissor Woman is a lot less kind of randomized.
You know what this actually kind of sounds like, and bear with me here. Mm-hmm. But the kind of setup you're describing almost feels like a sort of single-player Betrayal at House on the Hill.
That's not a terrible comparison.
You're not right, but you're not wrong either.
Yeah, no, I mean, it does, like, there are, like, a set amount of mysteries, and the majority of the mysteries have multiple endings, so, and it tells you on, like, the investigation board, like, because it basically picks 5 random mysteries you can do on, like, this is the secondary mode, where you basically have access to a town, and I haven't got this far yet, but there's a sheet of paper in the middle which is a question mark, which I feel is that's the final thing.
Yeah.
So the fifth mystery you solve is the penultimate mystery, and then there's the big one, as far as I'm aware. Now, what it does is you have to go and search certain places and investigate mysteries. I'm talking about the second mode, not the tutorial one now. So you start.
Oh, so the tutorials are separate. The tutorial one's a completely different mode.
Yeah, basically, it's just you do one, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got a few modes in it. It's actually quite filled out for an early access game. I'm incredibly impressed. So the first mode tutorial, Scissor Woman, you get that done. You know, it took me about an hour on stream, but I didn't get, like, super mad. It was literally, like, nail-biting tension, because, like, oh my god, I hope I do it this time. And, like, working out combat. Combat is dealt with in, like, slots of time. So, if you want to look for an improvised weapon, that will take you 60 out of 200, like, time you have. So you've got to, like, manage your time, and, like, you can prepare to attack, which does cost resources, but it means you've, like, basically guaranteed yourself a hit. So it's that kind of strategy as well. You can also run from fights if it's not worth it, because it's a lot like Call of Cthulhu, like the tabletop game, where if you're getting into a fight, that could be you. You're just a human being. And, like, you can run away and stuff like that. There's weird shits. Like, different enemies do different things. So you have, like, basically stamina, which is health, and then you have reason, which is sanity. If one of those reaches 0, you die. You can do certain things, like there is a healing prayer you can do, which costs, like, 2 reason, but gives you, like, 2 stamina. So there's a lot of kind of, like, number management in there.
Flipping around your numbers.
And just, there's a lot of depth, I feel, to the combat. You can buy items. There's a lot of really cool references. There's a shopkeeper who is a massive reference to Silent Hill 2, which is great, and I love it. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone. There's a couple of weird things, like you can get companions. I had one called Iwa, who was, you know, that picture of The Rock where he had his, like, turtleneck on and his Pop-Tart bum bag.
Yep.
It's just that, and it's
Okay.
like it's changed enough to be different, but it's just like, I see what you did there. That's
He's
cool.
the stone.
Yeah, he's Iwa.
Which is rock,
Yeah. But yeah, and then, like, you can go see your neighbor, who is just Junji Ito.
Good.
There's Hawado at, like, a certain thing, which is just H.P. Lovecraft, of course. And, like, so...
He would be really annoyed to have his name, like, made into, like, you know, what's the word? Because it's Romanized to...
Romanji?
But what's the word to, like, turn it in English word into Japanese pronunciation?
I don't know. I probably knew at some point, but I've been out of that for a while, so...
Yeah. But yeah, that would have made Howard Philip Lovecraft fucking pissed.
Good. Fuck him.
Yeah.
But yeah, and, like, there's like, it is tense. It's spooky. It's not, like, unbearable tension-wise, and there's not, like... There's, like, a couple of mild jump scares, but honestly, it earns it so well. It's actually kind of a relief. You know, you get like, and then you're like, oh, thank God, okay. So I can, you know, and then you start building up again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, I've just got this... I'm really sorry. I have this thing in my head now.
Oh, no.
Because of the things we've been talking about today. I'm like, if H.P. Lovecraft was alive today, he'd have
a skeptic YouTube channel.
Yeah, he'd have a YouTube channel and he'd be getting mad about She-Ra.
He would. And he'd be mad about about Ripper Jackson as well.
Oh, yeah. He's never played 40k, but he's still mad about it.
Yeah. But yeah, and so the second mode is like, yeah, you go around and you complete 5 mysteries. I died on the last one. It was like a 75-minute playthrough. Gone. But I mean, that's the nature of roguelikes, so I wasn't upset. Your progress with the endings continues which is, it'd be fucking pain in the ass if it didn't. You can get affected by maladies, like you can get a concussion. I fought the scissor woman and I got a slit mouth.
Oh,
she put scissors in my mouth and cut half of it open, which literally shows on your character portrait.
Okay.
And I got burned in one of my playthroughs, and my character's head was just covered in bandages, like the Joker from 1989 Batman. And you can go in and get that healed. You can get other afflictions, like I picked up a stalker.
Oh.
So it's basically like you feel uncomfortable. Someone is following you, and you go into the doctor and you look at list of afflictions, and I tried to have the medical professional I was seeing cure my stalker problem, and you just click on it, goes, modern medicine cannot assist you with this.
Fucking
hell, like,
fire.
Fuck me. There was also, okay, trigger warning, there was also suicide. It's like suicidal is a status effect, and I went in, tried to get it cured, and it's like, no, modern medicine can't help you. And I'm like,
Jesus,
this is fucking real. But yeah, you need to solve all these mysteries and get to, because like the dark god is that you randomly pick, or just you can pick your own, is basically looming over your town and getting closer, tearing the fabric in reality. So you also have a doom meter. Now, if that doom meter reaches 100%, game over. The old gods have manifested physically in our universe and have just destroyed and killed everything. I nearly finished the game on my third playthrough, which is the third option, where I just picked a bunch of stuff. Where I forgot casting spells raises doom with this particular old god. And then I picked up this really cool thing where every time I completed a combat, I would get a random, new spell, and I was like, yay! And then I fucking, just before I got to, the final area, the game ended, because fuck you. And I was like, oh no. But honestly, it's I don't mind, and it is really interesting. And, there's certain events that can happen. Yeah, it's an RPG roguelike in the style of an old 8-bit adventure game, and it does the horror really well. There's enough body horror in there to just be super fucking creepy, and ooh, yeah, honestly, if that sounds good, please play it. It is so good. I'm really enjoying it. But yeah, and that's me. Sorry for waffling on so much. I actually did stuff this week, last couple of weeks, so I got really excited.
That's fine.
But yeah, that's all I have to talk about.
So I guess we should answer any questions that we have been sent. Matthew, do we have some questions?
We do have some questions. But first, Wib, how should people ask us questions?
I don't know. God. Send a messenger pigeon or something. You send them to the email address onlydrummermatt@snipeandwib@gmail.com.
Yeah, you do.
So, just a couple this week.
Okay.
So, first up, Grinning Isaac.
Hello, Isaac.
So, I've been watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and it's becoming very useful for all the Klingons to carry knives with all the changelings running around.
Yes.
So the question is, if you were a Starship captain, what one item would you require every crew member to carry?
Dildo.
It's not Mass Effect.
No.
Is this specifically in Star Trek or in general?
No, it just says Starship captain. So
I'd say we have to
interpret it how you'd like.
I'm going to interpret it as basically I'm in that situation, and I need to figure out an item that we could all carry around so that we know who's real.
Well, what I'm going to do, because I'm very bad at answering these kind of questions, is I am going to make a reference to a media property I enjoy in lieu of having a personality.
Oh, proceed.
So I am going to suggest...
Didn't know we had Ernest Klein on the podcast. Did I go too hard?
Oh, Ernest is a bad writer.
My favourite bit of that was you mocking him for referencing things by referencing things. It was perfect.
Yep. That's what we call meta.
But yes, everyone should take a towel with them because it is very useful.
Moist in space.
If you're damp, then you can wipe
You can make the
yourself
towel
down.
moist.
If you find yourself in a state of undress, you can use it as a makeshift clothes.
If you're really lonely, you can damp it with some soap, roll it up, and
fuck it.
Yeah.
You can wrap it up and use it as a pillow. Like, it's just a very useful thing.
after you've washed it from fucking it, of course.
Yeah.
You gotta wash it out first.
Don't sleep on your fuck towel. Like,
Don't sleep on your fuck towel.
wash it first.
Wash it first. Oh, God. Why do I know that's going to be the title?
It's not because it's got swearing in
Yeah,
it.
but then you censor it F***K.
It probably will still get flagged. YouTube's a bad platform.
Yeah. So, okay. Drummer Butt, what about you?
The fuck towel.
Just the fuck towel. He wouldn't use it for anything else. It's just a fuck towel.
It's got a bit crusty over the years.
Oh. In what?
Well, yeah. If you don't use it for any other purpose, you don't have to bother washing it. So.
I mean, you do, because otherwise it's going to be like you're starching your fuck towel.
Eventually, it just becomes a piece of drywall.
Yeah, and then you've got
Yes.
what do they call it?
It gets better with age. It's fine.
No, drywall and cum do not get better with age. Oh, I mean, to be fair, I guess we are all a bit of cum. We're all a bit cummy, aren't we? And I think people get better with age.
Are you making that point because that is the origin point for everybody?
Yeah.
It's a bit of cum.
Bit cum.
Bit of cum.
Yeah, that is part of the material that make a person. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
I reckon if you're on a starship, things could get a bit cranky, and you don't want people to fall out because you're up there for a long time. There's not really anywhere else to go, so everyone has to carry around emergency biscuits. For then, if anyone gets hangry and wants to fall out with someone, you can be like, just have your biscuit, and then everyone will be happier, and then it would be great.
Maybe that's how the Gene Roddenberry era of Star Trek happened, because
biscuits.
It was a whole thing. One thing that Gene didn't like was when members of the Federation when humans argued with each other because it was supposed to be a perfect society, and maybe that's how we achieve that.
Okay, but I'm gonna point out a plot hole in Drama Matt's idea.
Okay,
I'm sorry. I don't want to roast you, but I'm gonna do it. Okay. So what if I bump into you on DS9, on Deep Space Nine, and you're hangry, and I go, oh no, what my captain gave me were these biscuits, and I hand you a packet of pink wafers.
No, because everyone carries around their own biscuits.
Yeah, pink wafers.
Can choose, but you get to choose what biscuits you have.
Yeah, and I chose pink wafers, and I don't know that you are rationally made angry by them.
Yeah, but I'll have I can eat my own biscuits, which are anything but those awful abominations.
You ate all your biscuits, and you don't have any, and you were angry, so you were going to the commissary to get more.
You have to carry them at all times, so if you as soon as you eat your biscuits, you have to replace them.
Yeah, but what happens if you run out or lose them or misplace them? What, are you court-martialed?
I'm just not accepting your pink wafer argument. Nope.
Okay, but am I allowed fig rolls?
You're doing so many what-ifs, it's like listening to Ben Shapiro.
No, because I'm not a cunt.
Yeah, that's fair. Say for the sake of argument.
Fucking, yeah. Anyway, okay, fine.
Perfect answer.
Okay, fine. I would have everyone carry around a squishmallow. Or a cuddly toy.
For similar reasons.
But because honestly, I've put I have a little dinosaur called Bugle, and I put him on my bag, and I started noticing when I'm walking through town, I just reach behind my back on my backpack and squeeze him and go, ah, and it just makes me feel better. So I would give everyone a cuddly toy that they like, and so that they can just give it a bit of a squeeze if they're feeling grumpy.
That's fair.
And if someone's being an evil changeling who wants to harm them, then they can just basically choke them to death by force feeding them.
You can't. It would go in DS9 style changeling because you can't really choke them.
Oh, can't you? Okay.
No.
Then I would also have George Hoovers, so they could give them the suck and suck up the changelings.
You could probably suck up the changeling.
Yeah. And it just make it feel weird.
Especially if they're having a sleep in the bucket.
Yeah, and then he's like... And then it's like, dang, I got my changeling now.
Yeah.
And
Stuck inside a Dyson, silly fucker.
No, it's not a Dyson, it's a George. That's my sexual fantasy.
That's true.
To having a nap in a bucket and then be woken up by George the Hoover, and he's like, do you fancy a suck, love? And I'm like, oh, go on.
And he sucks you up and you sit there fermenting in his bag.
I sit there fermenting amongst the dust bunnies and lost teeth.
You see, you're sitting there and you're being absurd, but somebody is getting their dick out right now. Who's listening?
Me. I have to sit on my hands. Anyway, what's the next question?
Okay, so the second question, and I feel like this is an appropriate one to end on, considering the definitely not political nature of the podcast so far. So, Erica.
Hello, Erica.
How could 40k or other similarly nerdy media, but let's start with 40k. How could 40k be changed fluff or lore-wise by the developers or just by the fan base in terms of headcanon and homebrew to better accommodate minorities? So, for instance, like, obviously there's no female space marines, and there's like a lack of representation amongst Space Marine chapters, so the White Scars are only the only East Asian inspired chapter.
Yeah.
And Yarrick's the only main LGBTQ plus character. Like, there's obvious things to do, but yeah, how would you, if you were the developers of 40k, what would you change to just make it a more inclusive?
I would hire a fuckload of writers and artists who were of the LGBTQIA plus community or people of color, just to basically go, okay, I as a white person I don't know your story, so please, after you. And then basically, get
different perspectives.
Get different perspectives, because that's what fucking fiction is all about. It's not just the same fucking perspective over and over again. So yeah, have like a trans person come in, or say like a person with autism come in and like write a character, or like advise heavily on a character. And like basically, because like the world is more than just fucking cis het neurotypical people.
Yeah.
Or like or able-bodied people. It's like, and there's so many stories out there this sounds like so Miss America, but like I'm having trouble kind of articulating. But like there's so many stories out there that aren't being told because they're slightly different, and it's fucking irritating. And it's like, yeah, so fucking like bring in some trans people to either write like, oh yeah, here's a bunch of trans space marines or like whatever. It's like, that would be awesome. Because
I remember a little while ago I put up a thing, like a thread on Twitter, of talking about the female space marine thing, because even though like this 40k it's not like the greatest like issue in the world or anything, but I was saying one of the problems with something like the female space marine thing, where people argue about it, is that regardless of where you stand on the issue, the fact that they have said that women can't do this has led to a lot of people with quite, like in this instance, quite misogynistic views sitting there going, oh, women aren't strong enough, women aren't good enough to do this. And it effectively becomes... It becomes basically it
reinforces negative stereotypes.
Well, yeah, what it is bigotry that is basically endorsed by the canon. Because the canon is effectively saying you are right to think this. Now, that's not the intention at all.
Oh, absolutely not.
But that is kind of
that's
the soft...
how it comes across.
Yeah,
and especially in like in a thing like 40k, where you have physical stats that show the difference between, say, like sisters and space marines.
Yeah.
It's a very real, tangible difference between male and female, showing the typically female sisters, like battle sisters, as being numerically nowhere near as good as the men. Which is, again...
Even though, canonically, there's way more going on there that makes them better.
Absolutely. But like... And it's just... It's because of, like, simplification of, say, rules, statistics, stuff like this. And people basically viewing that as like, oh yeah, no, obviously women are weaker than men. Look. Like, they can't be space marines. Also, look at their stats. They're way shittier than space marines. Women couldn't deal with it because they're weaker. It's like, that's... Again, that is obviously not the intent... But that's what the minority of idiots in, like, the 40k fandom, or just, like, a lot of fandoms in general, will see stuff like that and just interpret it like that, because that's kind of what it looks like. Even if it wasn't intended, it has a very negative effect.
Yeah, and
It's like the whole...
I think that's one of the things that I think there's often like a misunderstanding is when you talk about things like this and like, you know, sitting there and saying that these actions make the fandom, the setting, whatever, they make it less. They make it hostile to people that don't sit within the what people would consider the main demographic of it.
Yeah.
But just because that's true doesn't mean it's like an intentional thing or that it's something that people are desperately trying to keep people out. It's like, no, it's just there's a lot of quirks about how media is created, and sometimes you have to kind of take a step back and realize that just because you're creating something that has its own internal reasons for, say, a good example would be how the Imperium is kind of fascist, yet a lot of things within the lore kind of make excuses for that being the right choice.
Yeah.
And that's kind of not great.
It is an issue.
And the thing is, that in and of itself, as a piece of art where it goes, this is a thing, we've set it in a world where we have this totalitarian state, and this comes across like the right choice, is not inherently bad, but you have to be aware that when you do that, you do make a space that is friendly to fascists.
Yeah.
And just like with the female marine thing, it doesn't the lack of them doesn't mean that anyone who is against it is a misogynist or anything.
No,
because
not
of
at
like
all.
it doesn't mean the law is inherently like misogynist, or that there isn't a place for something where women are excluded for law reasons. But
No.
it does mean that you've made a space that is comfortable for misogynists.
Because they can sit there and scream law all day.
And you've got to and like as a creator, you maybe should think about that. And I think GW are these days.
No, absolutely. Credit where credit's due. GW are doing a hell of a lot better. Like, you know, with like again, Ripper Jackson. That, like I said earlier, if you can imagine her being designed in the 90s and how much it would just be like, yeah, let's just have TNA because, girl. Whereas now it's like, no, she thematically fits within the Kata-chan aesthetic.
Yeah.
And that works, and she's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, in case you can't tell, I have thought a lot about this recently, so I've got like a lot of thoughts rolling around my head.
Yeah. But I mean, I think I might be able to offer a unique perspective to at least you guys. As a female in a predominantly male-dominated space. Which, again, not saying that men can't have their own designated spaces or their own things, but it's still like, coming into it when I was a lot younger, I felt so fucking unwelcome. There was like, you know, just the fact that there's not many women visible. Especially back in those days, there were barely any women visible in 40k. It was just like, that reinforced the whole, well, there's no place for a woman here, fuck off, kind of thing. So, you know, it was validating the misogynists. And like, you know, back when back when, you know, I was like 14, 15, I wouldn't even go into a games workshop because it just felt so unwelcome to me. Because, again, it reinforce that misogynist thing. So, you know, as growing older, now we were talking to just a couple of people, we know, in Warhammer World, and like we were talking about how, now like you walk into Warhammer World and there's like multiple lady employees, and it's just, I don't feel, because like when I first started, I felt like I wasn't allowed in Games Workshop. I wasn't allowed in Warhammer World. I wasn't allowed to like it. You know, you get the gatekeeping thing where someone's like, oh yeah, okay, you play Space Marines. Yeah, it's because you're shit at 40k. There's always, it's like, I remember playing fucking multiplayer Doom as a little girl and getting that shit. So, oh yeah, bet you just want to suck everyone's dick. It's like, you know, not everything is about, like, doing kissing with boys, Jimothy. It's just sometimes I can like things. And like,
because the problem is you internalize that gatekeeping. And,
you do.
Yeah.
You can't help it. It's like, because, you know, it's not something you actively notice happening a massive amount of the time. So you start... So as, like, someone who is a minority in a space... I know how that sounds like, basically talking as a white woman. But, like, you start doing that too. So you start trying to vie for attention and being like, I'm not like the other girls. I'm cool. I don't like... pink, and it's just fucking bullshit reinforcing garbage, and it literally just sits there and goes, women and female coded things are bad, and I have to basically attempt to be more masculine to be accepted in this space. Now, what I'm getting to in my incredibly rambling fucking bullshit is when female characters started to appear, and more sensible female sculpts started to appear, and female staff members started to appear, I started feeling a lot more comfortable. I felt a lot more welcome. Because it was like, hey, officially, women exist in this setting. So, like, that's cool. And now I feel like I truly have carved out a place for myself and fuck everyone. And just that little thing that I don't know, I think a lot of men probably wouldn't notice that kind of thing because... especially in that time period when you guys were like 13, like year old kids or whatever.
Everyone was an awkward looking 13-year-old kid in the shop at the time, so of course I felt like, you know.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, you probably would never have thought twice about going in and just chatting shit with one of like the GW employees.
No, not at all.
Whereas I do, and that's just me. And the only thing that separates me from you guys is that I'm a lady, whereas a trans person. Or, like, you know, a person of colour who's, like, you know... Basically, all these, like, barely represented minorities will probably feel way worse than I did. But the fact that we're starting to get something that's, like, that's really positive, seeing that, because I want more people of colour. I want more LGBTQIA plus people in the hobby so like, they can start, like, writing stories and doing all this stuff... and telling different fucking stories, so it's not just, I'm a white angry dude, and I kill things.
Yeah, like, the Imperium's fucking massive. There is space for all of these people.
And
like,
we
there's
should
no excuse
fucking...
to not have them.
they should be here. They deserve to be here.
Yeah.
And it's annoying when you see fuckwits online going, I'm going to talk for 47 hours about how I think black people existing is somehow bad for me. And it's like, okay, listen, numbnuts. No one gives a fuck what you're saying.
Hey, no, look, it's fine to have a gay character as long as there's a narrative reason for it.
Okay, but why is every character straight? For no reason. Some people are gay, Stephen.
Yeah.
They're allowed to be... Yeah, okay, I'm getting super heated about this. But yeah, basically...
It's fine. The people who are annoyed have stopped listening by now anyway.
Oh, honestly,
yeah.
The people who are annoyed are probably like, they listened to me do the intro and went, fucking political bullshit, and just disliked and left something about me cocking you by existing.
Yeah. I just like to point out, because I've said this numerous times over the years, I tend to, you know, we tend to use the term quote unquote political to refer to like these kind of discussions, but I do not consider, in a real sense, if I'm talking to real humans who aren't very online, I don't consider anything we do or talk about to be actually very political. I consider it to be at best just... You know, just maybe a fraction. Like,
I mean, I don't see how you can say, "Oh, a trans person existing is somehow political." It's like, no, that's a person fucking existing.
Yeah, you're just a person. Like,
they are a person.
It's like you're the one politicizing someone's very existence, and that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, it's like, hey, maybe just deconstruct what you're thinking about. But yes, Erica, that's our fucking incredibly long and probably very garbled answer. What about you, Drummer Matt? What do you think? I want to hear what you say.
I mean, yeah, no, I'm willing to delegate to you on this one purely because, like, I mean, we've had enough fucking just like cis white guys telling people what to do. Like, I'm not. The very first thing you said is that I would employ people to write it and do things that aren't me, basically.
Which is obviously white genocide.
At what point have we crossed the line?
I don't know, but basically I think, yeah. Okay, so again, people who are angry about this, people who are rationally angry at being reminded that people who aren't white or heterosexual or cis exist, they've already stopped listening.
Yeah.
So I can say what the fuck
It's
I
a
want. Like,
long
feminism is actually really good, actually, because it like doesn't just fight for women's rights; it fights for all genders.
Yeah, the patriarchy sucks for everyone.
Yeah. I love it how they've all gone and started writing this manifesto going, oh god, I bet you're gonna just, like, write Brexit on a piece of paper and spit on it for 20 minutes. Or whatever. So yeah, we can say what we like.
Okay, we got to that point then. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
trans rights are human rights.
Trans rights are human rights. If you think that non-binary people are fake or they should medically transition, then you're an absolute piece of shit and you're fucking wrong. You don't need dysphoria to be trans. Okay, let's just leave it now.
The blue passports that you're so proud of are black, so...
Oh, I bet they don't like that.
Yeah, alright, let's...
Furries are like some of the last bastion of true punks and anarchists, and we should respect them as comrades.
Also, eat the rich.
Eat the rich.
Physically, if you have to.
And Vegemite is better in every single way than Marmite. I'm sorry to get political.
Ooh, oh, wow.
Sorry.
No, that's it. That's the line.
Oh, is that
That's
the line?
Oh god, I'm not reading the comments on this one.
No, I don't have the fucking spoons for it. Don't care.
Oh, Jesus.
It's like, if you want to argue with anything, apart from the last thing, because that's a completely perfect point and I should never be argued with, I just want to say, like, really seriously now, if you have a problem with the idea of including more trans people or basically any kind of, like, minority, or, like in 40k or any other space, I want you to seriously think about why that is, and also I can't find the words to explain to you why you should care about people. Just please care about people. Trans people, non-binary people, autistic people, disabled people, the whole fucking nine are people who deserve respect and care. And just having them share their stories in, say, 40k is not an attack on anyone else. It is just them telling their story. And that's really fucking important. So,
yeah.
Please,
Yeah,
if you're made angry by that, please just think about why that makes you angry. And I hope you stop being angry about it, because it's just going to upset you and make everyone else's lives bad. So let's talk about dicks for, like, a palate cleanser.
I hope the next question isn't like, oh, so what's
your favourite type of pubic hair? I'm like, finally, my time to shine.
what is your opinion on the fucking state of fucking Rojava? Like, oh god.
Oh god. Sorry, I get really heated about this kind of stuff.
No, don't apologise.
Yeah, no.
It's always a worry when I basically have to do off the cuff stuff like that, because I don't want to misrepresent my point. Or say something that could be taken very wrong. So it's like, it's always a bit nerve-wracking for me if I don't have basically a prepared statement.
Yeah.
But yeah. Is that the end of the questions?
Answer all questions with the confidence of a mediocre white dude. You'll be fine.
Oh, okay, I'll try. They've stopped listening, it's fine.
It's fine.
But no, that is all the questions.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
good.
Ended on a spicy note.
Ended on a positive note.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, but I'm going to keep an eye on the dislike ratio on this one. Because, you can't help but be a little bit self-destructive when you say something as shocking as people have feelings.
I know.
People are people.
SJW! But yeah, sorry it got so serious at the end, but no, I'm not.
That's just how life be sometimes.
That's just how it be. But yeah, thank you very much for the questions, and we shall see you in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.